In this video, you will learn what to do so you can master your target language in 2022. Welcome back to my channel where I help language learners and aspiring polyglots self-study their target languages. Are you learning or planning to learn a new language in 2022? I don't want you to jump in cold turkey and just get overwhelmed. By the end of this video, you will be equipped with a strategy that helps you study any language you desire. If that is interesting for you, let's get right into it. Before you get into your language studies in 2022, trust me, consistency is everything. I can give you a very specific example right now in my personal life. It's been a year since I have last touched a Chinese resource, and I can tell you what this did to my Chinese. So before, I was for 2 years consistently studying Chinese and I was consistently using it. And that's why I'm still able to use it, because I was consistently using the basics. I was consistently talking to people about similar topics. So this really adapted my brain into using Chinese. Now, what about the other stuff, the vocabulary that I have just looked at once or that I have memorized maybe 3 times or that I wasn't really consistently using? I lost it. Like, I could look at my Chinese notes and I would not even remember how to write certain characters or how to use certain words. Don't overthink the quantity that you want to learn and how fast you want to become good. Really focus on the consistency into learning the basic things so you can consistently hold conversations. And I promise you that when you do this over time, these things will get locked in your brain and you won't forget it. If you liked this video so far, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. Now, we talked about the first step you need to commit to in order to start your language journey in 2022. The second step is the following. Choose your why, your purpose, your motivation to learn this language. The reason why this is so important is because it will be easier for you to want to be associated with this language if you have a clear purpose of why you're studying it. Now, in the next points, I will disclose what it really takes to learn a language. But this is the starting point, and I can guarantee you, once you have fixed achievable and personal language goals, it will be so much easier to get started and get going. Now, if you don't know how to set goals in your language studies, make sure to check this video out, where I show you exactly on where to start setting goals, what goals to set, which goals aren't good, and mistakes people make while setting goals. Before we go into the next point, I urge you to visit the link down below. In the free Master Your Target Language webinar, you will exactly learn what to do before, during, and after your language studies, so you can become conversational in your target language in 2022 without any major problems and without feeling stuck or unmotivated. You probably have already had multiple study sessions in your target language. And if you feel that it is not so much fun, please consider, especially if it is a new language you're studying, to simply dip into the language, soak your brain with the language. What does that mean? Search for input that will help you get used to the intonation, to the pronunciation of the new language. I show you how this can be done in this very video. Start with getting to know the language. Focus on the pronunciation, how people accentuate the words, and it will be easier for your brain to get used to this language and form patterns. In language learning, of course, you can do a lot of active work. This is what we were taught how to learn languages in school, to solely sit down, read things, memorize vocabulary, memorize grammar points. But in order to learn a language the easiest and the most fun way, be prepared to do a lot of passive work. With passive work, the whole language journey will be somewhat more natural, and you will see that you will be way more consistent into the time that you put in learning this language. Now, I tell you a little secret. It is not necessarily how much time and how many hours you put in to learning and strictly studying the language. It is about the emotions, the effort that you put into this language. Because truly, it is possible to learn a new language within months. The only difference really is how consistently you stay into listening, into practicing, into using this language. And of course, if you can have fun while using the language and getting to know the culture, then you will definitely stay way more consistent and you will stay on your journey. Because if you go down the right path, I can guarantee you that with time you will grow fluent. The more time you associate with this language, of course, the more increases the interest because it entertains you, it gives you fun, and you can feel that it is not hard to be engaged with this language. At the same time, you will also know what is relevant or not. If you only study on your desk and you simply have textbooks in front of you, you don't know if that really is something that is relevant when learning the language. But if you dive into more passive work, let's say listen to more music, look at more movies, talk to more people, you will also understand which parts of the language repeats itself. And this is really what you want to look out for, to high frequency patterns, especially if you are in the beginning. In this video, you will learn what to know before you study a new language in 2022. If you want to have a clear blueprint on what to do during and after your study sessions, then make sure to check out the free Master Your Target Language training. Register today because I don't know for how much more time I will be hosting this free guide. Now, with that out of the way, let's go into the next point of what to do before you study a language in 2022. You have come to this point of the video. Take a moment and write into the comments what your language goal for 2022 is. Most probably you want to talk confidently and speak conversationally. But I tell you right here, please don't overthink the speaking. Give yourself time to get used to the language. Please give yourself time to form patterns in your brain. It takes consistent input in order to even understand how the language works, how you should move your tongue, how you should move your mouth, how you should pronounce certain words. And if you rush into speaking, it will be most likely that you will also not feel confident while doing so because you're still not familiar in what the basics of the language really consist in. I'll be shooting a video that talks about getting rid of the fear of using your target language and confidently speaking into natives. If you want to know more, subscribe to this channel. You have learned that consistency really is everything. You have learned how to stay motivated by setting goals. You have learned how to get used to the language by dipping into comprehensible input. You have learned how to stay consistent by preparing passive resources, and you don't need to rush to speaking the language too early. How to implement all these things and more in your language studies in 2022, make sure to visit the Master Your Target Language webinar. Now tell me, what is the language you're learning in 2022 and what is the favorite tip that you have learned in this video? I hope you can implement all or some of this in your next language studies so you can grow conversational in your target language in 2022. And while you're waiting for the next videos to release on this channel, I invite you to continue watching. All videos are about language learning, self-studying, and becoming conversational. If this video was helpful for you, share it with a friend who might need it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye!